Hello, everyone. I hope everybody can hear me, especially at the back. I know it has been a very long morning with a lot of speeches, and now I'm holding you for fulfilling the right of food. So sorry for that, and thanks for staying until now. I am delighted to be here today with you and to honor the legacy of Asma Jahangir, who, besides being a fearless human rights advocates who fought for advancing justice and democracy also held different mandates as a special rapporteur. So that is something that is relevant, as Richard also mentioned. Asma's legacy of activism and resistance is an inspiration of many of us. She bravely stood against autocracy and injustices and emphasized on the importance of strategic activism, judiciary independence, and democratic resilience. In today's critical time, her voice is deeply missed, not only in Pakistan, but then internationally. Today's conference on erosion of fundamental rights and resistance across borders is very pressing. As Asma said once in the Oslo Freedom Conference, I believe in 2012, she said, when there is less democracy, we need more democracy. While she was reflecting of her struggles of resisting military dictatorship and advancing democracy, of course. And she also said that we realized early on that we have to be as strategic as dictators. And then all those words resonate powerfully today as the world is facing even growing in scope and aggressive attacks on human rights and freedoms. Human rights are under attack by expanding authoritarianism, as it was mentioned before, by securitization and militarization, while there is a severe defunding of the human rights sector and erosions of the principles of human solidarity and cooperation. And states are bringing the national security and sovereign paradigm at the forefront, suppressing fundamental freedoms and those critical of state policies and peaceful exercising the freedoms as threatened as enemies, traitors, foreign agents, terrorists, or national security threats. Despite this, we see remarkable grassroots courage and resistance surging in almost every capital and every city around the world against attacks on democratic freedoms and rights. Young people are at the forefront against social and economic injustice, unfair policies, climate justice, oppression, and genocides. Thousands are paying a heavy price as they encounter excessive force, killings, and arbitrary arrest. And also the spread of technologies used for targeted and mass surveillance is also a serious threat to right of freedoms and has a profound chilling effect. And I will be presenting a report to the Human Rights Council on this very specific topic in June. My mandate is very concerned about the growing global trend of stigmatization and criminalization of civic activism. Especially here in Pakistan, we need to talk about these trends. So the states are increasingly resorting to unjustified and overbroad use of national security and counterterrorism narratives and frameworks to unlawfully criminalize activists, right movements, and ban or violently repress peaceful assemblies, including protests. Judiciary harassment, stigmatization, and criminalization of human rights offenders, including those who provide judiciary support, are also in the target. So human rights lawyers are also human rights offenders. And let me repeat. Human rights lawyers are also human rights offenders. Colleagues and I have expressed this week our alarm for the conviction of lawyers and human rights offenders Iman Masari Hasir and Hadi Ali Shatta, with charges of cyber terrorism after doing some post and repost on X. It's in an extremely fast process. They each received multiple concurrent sentences of imprisonment, totally 17 years, and a very millionaire fine. And I want to echo one person who spoke in the first panel when he was saying that criticism of a state is not a hostility of the state. And this is something that needs to be like kind of imprinted in every person that is here, because it needs to be ensured here in Pakistan. Deeply concerning also is the continued trial of activists in military courts and anti-terrorism courts, and charging and sentencing them in this sedition of terrorism charges for their peaceful activism. And let me be very clear. Terrorism is actually a very pressing, real challenge. But it is very important to fight against terrorism without creating new victims of the anti-terrorism fight. And then civil society, human rights defenders, and human rights lawyers sometimes are the victims of this anti-terrorism fight, and we need to stop this. Civilians should not be tried in military courts as they lack fair trial and due process protections. Colleague Anas and I have called for the immediate and unconditional release of activists unlawfully imprisoned from the exercise of their fundamental freedoms, such as Idris Katran, who is currently serving 14 years of unjust imprisonment. We are also raised concern about the arbitrary detention and forced disappearance and mistreatment of Baloch ethnic rights activists, such as Ms. Bahram Baloch, arrested during a peaceful sit-in last year. And then also we have also been reporting about even extrajudicial killings of journalists and human rights defenders in the Baloch area. Colleagues and I also have been writing to Pakistan concerning the recent amendments of the Anti-Terrorism Act in August last year, as well as similar legislation enacted in Balochistan and Punjab provinces. These provisions risk violating, among others, the rights, the human rights, including the prohibition of arbitrary detention, enforced disappearance, torture, and cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment, and others. And despite all these challenges that you know perhaps better than me, and we special rapporteurs have tried to have a constant interaction with the governments. So for those of you that don't know how we work, we have mainly three methods of work. We do visits, we do letters to governments and other type of communications, and we do reports. But in the last 5 years, we have sent over 50 letters to the government with human rights allegations, and we got only 8 responses. This means that 85% of the letters didn't receive any reply, not even an acknowledgement reply. Does this sound as a commitment with human rights? I'm not pretty sure about that. Besides, our visits are not accepted. It has been more than 10 years since the Special Rapporteur came on an official visit, for the information that I have. Right now, there are around 25 requests of visits pending. I actually requested a visit in 2024 that I re-insisted last year. Ministry Asma is here. Perhaps we can also talk about this, the possibility of special rapporteurs to come and visit the countries. And I really hope that all the ambassadors and the international community present today can also help us to request and to push for those visits and those replies. Although the conference agenda covers a variety of issues, they are very relevant and linked to freedom of assembly and of association rights, which are the rights that are in my mandate, such as the right of fair trial, the protection of activists and human rights defenders. I encourage you all to take freedom of assembly and of association concerns also into consideration during the deliberation of these 2 days. Protecting and enabling freedom of assembly and of association rights are also essential for advancing conflict resolution, climate justice, and remember, this is also an assembly. And these rights allow us to come together to advance other rights, freedoms, democracy, and rule of law. And these type of assemblies are as important as the small private assemblies from civil society organizations as a massive protest. And all then need to be respected equally. Freedom of assembly and association rights are integral to human dignity. They are important enabling rights. And then when freedom of assembly and of association rights are unduly restricted, all other rights are affected. As the audience here include lawyers, parliamentarians, and the diplomatic community, I want to continue. Support for ensuring freedom of assembly and of association rights are discussed and then protected, so together we can resist the erosion of rights and freedoms globally. To end, I want to address an important last point, is that some human rights defenders, some civil society representatives, some activists should be here today with us, but they can't. They have been persecuted, jailed, silenced, and some of the activists present in the room are also afraid they could be the next. And yet they tirelessly keep working for rights day after day. And I want to thank you all, because your courage, resistance, perseverance, and hard, selfless work are a source of inspiration to all us and to me for my work. So thank you for everything you do.